It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Walking Dead Season 8. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Season 8 premiere, 801. So, recently, Forbes did an article talking about 801 and gave like a spoiler-free review of the episode. Now, you might be wondering, when did it air? The actual episode is going to air on October 22nd. So we still have like a week left, but some members of the media like Forbes were able to get an exclusive first-hand viewing of the episode, and they basically did a review of it. So for those of you wondering when did it air, it hasn't aired yet. They just saw it before everybody else did to hype it up and kind of talk about it. Now, Forbes in particular actually bashed 801 and basically criticized not only the episode, but where The Walking Dead is heading. Now, I'm not going to judge the episode because I haven't seen it. So I'm going to judge it when I see it and let you know what I think of it. But in terms of what Forbes said, there's only one portion of this article that I'm going to talk about from Forbes, which is the 3 timelines in 801. So obviously their review is a spoiler-free review. Although you can say this part with the 3 timelines is borderline spoilers. So I'm just going to put some kind of spoiler warning here, even though it's not even a big spoiler. But for some people, you might not want to know anything about it and might want to go into the episode fresh. And if that's the case, then, don't watch this. So let's get into this. So I'm just going to read one paragraph that's discussing this 3 timelines, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. So they say, every now and then The Walking Dead puts on its art house hat and tries to act a great deal smarter than it actually is. Episode 100, titled Mercy, is one such episode. It eschews basic chronological storytelling on multiple levels, dancing between at least 3 separate time periods, although it's not clear whether one of these is real or hallucinatory, and models up the present timeline for no apparent reason other than to confuse audiences and create artificial tension. So what we really want to dive into is the 3 separate timelines that was mentioned. So this is actually not the first time they're doing something like this, where they have multiple timelines. If you remember, that's similar to what they've already done before. They did a similar thing in the premiere of season 6, 601. If you remember, in that episode, they had the past storyline and they had a present storyline. So they had multiple timelines in that episode as well. Obviously, the current timeline was when they were dealing with the herd and they were executing their plan to get rid of the herd, and the past timeline, which was in black and white, was basically putting the pieces together in terms of what happened at the end of season 5 and where we ended up being in 601. So they're basically doing a similar thing, but they have 3 timelines. So basically take that, put it together with what we already know about season 8 in terms of timeline and what they might end up doing. You kind of have a clear idea of what Forbes is basically talking about here. So if you take a look at the trailer, there was the part with the old man Rick, and we speculated a lot about what it could be and, whether it's a real scene, whether it's hallucination, whatever, so far and so forth. So I think that's most probably what this is. So in terms of 801, we're going to see 3 timelines: the past, the present, and the future. So for the past, we're basically going to follow the events of 716. So just like 601, they're going to explain what happened between the period when we left off in the last season and the storyline that we're basically starting now. So they're going to explain what happened after 716 when they basically got the communities together and decided to fight against Negan and, attack, to what happens now, which takes us to the next point, which is the present. So the present is the actual attack. So that's going to be the attack on the sanctuary. So of course, if you watched my prediction for season 8, what I think is going to happen is that they're going to attack the sanctuary first. And, they're using the herd to basically direct them towards the sanctuary to block Negan and the Saviors at the sanctuary. So that's the present. So what's the 3rd timeline? That's the future timeline. So that's basically where the old man Rick story comes into play. And, we get to see Rick in the future or something along those lines. Now, they did mention that it's not clear whether one of these is real or hallucinatory. So obviously the old man Rick scene is what they're talking about. And based on what they said, it seems like we're not going to have a definite answer by the end of 801 about whether that's real or not, which is interesting. So I'm excited to actually get to see what they do and whether they leave it as kind of a cliffhanger or they kind of resolve it in the same episode. But that's basically my opinions. I think that's what Forbes is talking about when they're saying that there's going to be at least 3 timelines. The 3 timelines are most likely going to be the past timeline, which is what happened from 716 to when the group is attacking the sanctuary, and then the present, which is them actually attacking the sanctuary, and the future, which is the Old Man Rick scene. Now, I'm not sure if they're gonna do the exact same thing as 601 and have the past episodes be black and white, and maybe the present be in color, and the future to be kind of hazy. If you watch the trailer, if you look at the scene with the Old Man Rick, you can see it's filmed a little differently. It doesn't look as clear as the other scenes. It looks like it's a bit hazy. So I'm wondering if they're gonna do that. They're gonna have the past be black and white, the present be in color, and the future to be kind of hazy. Now, a little bit of a risk because they didn't receive positive feedback after 601 for the way they filmed that episode, and fans were saying that it was confusing and everything, which kind of goes back to what Forbes is saying here. They're saying it's confusing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether they can pull it off and whether Forbes bashing 801 in terms of it being confusing is justified. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.